That's what I was fixing to ask. Why are they scared?
Well, for one reason, remember what happened during that Bush-Gore election. And so eventually went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided it with respect to Florida. And a great number of people on the Gore side of the line thought that that was really a usurpation of authority by the Supreme Court. That was a political decision, and it undermined, at least at that point in time, the credibility and the legitimacy of the judiciary in the minds of many, many people.
Well, would you believe that I was on that side that you're talking about?
Well, no problem. The point I'm getting at is that the courts are looking at these types of situations and they're saying, how many of these situations can we afford to take? How long before our legitimacy is completely undercut? That's why I say that Mr. Obama is the one who's going to be responsible for a very, very serious problem, because he is pushing the system in a direction which it really does not want to go, but may have to go.
Hey, Phil, we thank you for that call. Let's go up here to, I believe it's Barb's from North Carolina. You there, Barb's?
Yeah, I'm still here.
All right, what's your question for Dr. Vieira?
Okay, my question has to do with militia. Mm-hmm. And I found the North Carolina militia website. It's ncmilitia.org. They have a page on there, general elements, and it brings up something that I've got a question about. It says, the organized or reserved militia is a legal and lawful part of the armed forces of this nation. It's a military organization. Then it keeps talking about there's no ambiguity. The unorganized citizens militia is not the National Guard. It's not this. It's not that. It keeps using the word unorganized. What if we became organized?
Well,
would it then be illegal?
No, they're talking about the unorganized militia. That North Carolina organization is a private group. And what they're trying to say is that somehow they fall into a category of legal authority. Well, as I said earlier in this show, Congress and the states have created this category called the unorganized militia. There's no such thing constitutionally. But if there were, what that would mean is that Congress has decided that everyone who isn't in the Army and the National Guard shall not participate in a militia structure, shall remain unorganized. These people out there who are using that part of the statutes of Congress or various states to claim that that gives them the authority to do something have it completely backwards. If those statutes are valid, it means that what they are doing is not authorized.
Yeah, because they're organized.
Is we need an actual state statute to organize the militia according to proper constitutional principles. Then there's going to be no question. You now have the authority of the state. This militia is a state structure. Oh, and by the way, being a state structure, it is to a very large degree immune from control by the federal government.
Barbs, thank you for that call. Let's go down here to Lisa on line 3. Lisa, what's your question for Dr. Vieira?
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome.
I was wondering, if Barack Obama is sworn in with this name, will he be legal considering he has other names such as Barry Sorrento?
That's a very interesting question. We don't really know what his last legal name was. That's another area of vagueness in his entire resume, because he's gone through these different life stages when he had different fathers, and he apparently had different nationalities, and he had different names. And I don't think at least I have never seen anywhere the sequence of names showing where finally Barack Obama became the recognized legal name for this man. It's the name he apparently prefers. But once again, if I were his attorney and I were filing documents on his behalf, I would want to see that sequence so that I knew, at least if the court asked me this question when I'm standing up there making an argument for him, oh, well, that name was the result of, it's legitimate because it's the result of this procedure that he followed over here after his mother died or after she remarried or whatever it was. All right. So, yes, we have an interesting question. We have an interesting question there. I don't think that's the key. I mean, whatever name he's going under or an alias or what have you. If he's ineligible, it doesn't matter what his name is, and I would imagine that if he's eligible, it doesn't matter what his name is either.
Okay, Lisa, thank you for that call. Let's move on down to CJ. CJ, you're on the air. What's your question for Dr. Vieira?
Hi, Dr. Vieira.
Hi there.
Excuse me. My question is, if the mainstream media had done their job in the first place, and the public had been educated as to what a usurper this man is, we wouldn't be in this mess. Is there any way we can hold the media's feet to the fire? Can they be sued?
Well, you're right. If the mainstream media had done their job. No, I don't know any way that you can hold the mainstream media's feet to the fire other than what's going to happen as these court cases develop. I mean, there's no way that the mainstream media is going to be able to suppress this information. And, of course, what's the reality today? It's the Internet that is taking over. And
yes, sir.
And as well, talk radio is taking over as the source of people's news and information. So the mainstream media, in terms of controlling the debate and certainly controlling the input of facts into the debate, is gradually, actually quickly, becoming irrelevant. Thank God.
Okay, CJ, we thank you for that call. Okay, I tell you what, Dr. Vieira, they got a question out there in the chat room, and I'm going to read it to you because they can't get in because all the phone lines are busy.
Okay.
They want to know if there's anything that can be done to stop his inauguration. Well, you know what I'm trying to say on Tuesday.
Well, I think that's along the lines of what, at some stage, the Berg-type and D'Onofrio-type lawsuits were looking for. I mean, they were looking for injunctions, court orders to stop earlier parts of the proceedings. And I suppose if there was some case that was in a position to ask a court for an injunction against the inauguration, yes, you could ask for it. But here we go again. Are they going to give that to you?
Probably not.
I don't think so at this stage.
I hear you. All right, let's go to Debbie on line 2. Debbie, are you there?
Yes.
What's your question for Dr. Vieira?
Who is, in fact, responsible for vetting the president-elect?
Oh, that is one good question.
Well, originally it was the man himself. Obviously, he would be closer to the facts than anyone else, and he would have access to them. Secondly, it would be the political organizations that put him forward at each stage. So he certainly set up his own campaign committees, and the people that were working with him had a responsibility to determine whether he was qualified, because they were making representations to the public, which if he weren't qualified would have been false and fraudulent. They were raising huge amounts of money and presenting him as a legitimate candidate, so they have all sorts of personal liability. I suppose that goes all the way up eventually to the head of the Democratic Party, that group, and because they stood up for him in the convention and promoted him through the election. It's not exactly clear the extent to which these various state officials, secretaries of state or others who take in the paperwork for qualifications of candidates are responsible. In most of these states, it appears that they're simply a ministerial duty. The papers are filed, the man makes the representation, signs them, and they're simply put on record, and that's the end of it. So I would say, number one, it's that political structure. Then, of course, you come to the interesting question of Mr. Biden, who's now ran with Mr. Obama. Once again, didn't he have a personal responsibility? And again, it's a personal responsibility in the context. We're not talking about a situation where no one ever challenged him until yesterday. They were challenging him on that issue or questioning about that issue for months and months and months, going well back into this.
Yes,
so it's not as if these individuals suddenly discovered this by listening to this radio show.
The challenge was started before he was even nominated.
That's right. That's right. So someone in that position, in that party, in those political organizations that were promoting him, or someone who eventually runs with him on the ticket, certainly had notice of this problem, and I would think had a responsibility, a legal responsibility as well as a moral responsibility, a legal responsibility to satisfy himself with whatever facts could be obtained that this man was eligible, and it seems to me the facts that could have been obtained are in Hawaii.
Okay, we certainly thank you for that call. Let's go down here. We got Prudence on line 3. Prudence, what's your question for Dr. Vieira?
It's really good to have you on tonight. We're really enjoying listening to you.
Thank you.
I don't know if you have any spare time, but Dr. Orley Tates could use your help, I think.
I agree with that.
My question tonight is, I have to go in and out, so if you answered this, I apologize, but it seems to me, I don't know what I'm missing, but how can you have an ineligibility case in your docket and then have tea and crumpets with this guy in a private meeting, or be prepared to swear him into office next week? How is that possible?
I'm missing the answer to that too. As I said earlier, if I were the Chief Justice of the United States and I had to stand up in front of the country and perform that function on the 20th, the function of swearing this man in, I would have sat down with him privately, maybe without the tea and the crumpets, and demanded an answer from him, a straight answer. And if I didn't get it, along with the documentation, I would not show up at that session.
Well, Dr. Vieira, the problem is with these politicians such as Justice Roberts, they think about their career. They don't think about the people.
He's at the top of his career right now. This is the end of the career ladder.
Yeah, but I tell you what I've been told is if the Supreme Court does not go along with Obama, that the Democrats have enough people in Congress to impeach him.
Well, better to be taken for a goat than a sheep, right?
I hear you.
Stand up. What's the alternative? He took an oath himself, Chief Justice Roberts, to support the Constitution of the United States.
I understand.
Can he then take this further step when he knows that it is notorious in this country that there's potentially a serious problem here?
I hear